Welcome to Vibrant Living Conversations. I'm your host, Gemma Pudding. As a life coach to midlife mamas and women, I'm excited to bring these conversations from North Idaho and across this region to support you on your journey to vibrant living, glowing from the inside out, fully living in your own true to you power. For this interview, I am talking with Michelle Pillar of Mystic Maps. I was introduced to Michelle by a mutual friend, Stacia, of episode 46, and was in awe of the astrological coaching sessions that I've had with Michelle. So I'm thrilled to have her here today to learn more about the work that she does in the world to, as she puts it, help people embody the highest vision for their lives and build a new earth. So welcome, Michelle. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me to be here, Gemma. I'm really happy to be here.
My pleasure. So let's start with, what's your elevator pitch? When people say, how do you work with clients? What do you say?
Oh, I just, I tell them the truth. It's not always easy because not everybody in the world has an appreciation for astrology. But I just come right out and tell them that I use astrology to help people find their higher ground, to live the life they're called to live, and to navigate the various challenges that are presenting in this decade as our world undergoes immense upheaval and transformation.
Powerful, so powerful. So we'll break more into that. Well, will you share the highlights of how you came to doing this work? Like, were you one of the ones that started young age and you just were connected and receiving messages, and or has it been more of a slow? Yeah, I'll let you touch on your own highlights.
It's definitely been a slow journey. I was not one of the people who always knew from day one what I was going to do. And in fact, I have spent most of my life doing non-related work. So really my professional background is in the theater. But I've always loved astrology. My mother actually introduced me to astrology probably when I was about 10 years old. And I've always had a deep connection to the stars, even as a child. I looked up at the stars, oddly enough, with a sense of homesickness, just a sense of, I come from there. So, at any rate, in terms of the study and practice of astrology, that I began in earnest in the year 2006. But I didn't really have any clarity about how I was going to apply my love of astrology beyond my own life and the life of loved ones. And so I divided most of my time between theater and astrology, and I found that split to be challenging. So it went on like that for a long time. As I said, most of my time was spent in theater, just at the point where I thought, I'm going to need to decide which path I'm going, because I can feel the split in me, and I don't enjoy feeling like half of my attention is over here and half of it's over there. It feels really unintegrated. And just as I said, something's got to give, the year 2020 came.
Mm-hmm.
The World Health Organization declared a pandemic. That shut down the theater industry in one day. It was done. It was finished. It was finished for a couple of years. And that was life telling me immediately, okay, that's where we're going then. Interestingly enough, 3 days after that pandemic was called, I woke up, literally woke up and went, oh, we're in that time. And by that time, I mean, we had entered a time that has been prophesied in many cultures over, many years ago, that there would come a time when the earth would go through a period of pronounced upheaval, and that it would be a spiritual upheaval as much as any other type. And we are finding that since 2020, we are still impacted, each of us, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, economically, ecologically.
Yeah.
And that I knew 3 days after the WHO called the pandemic, okay, We've gone into that timeline now. I see. And that's when I knew I've been called. It's time. And I knew my instructions, so to speak. So I'm here for the change. I'm here for the change from the old earth into a new earth, where we find that the primary frequencies will be love, peace, freedom, joy, compassion. And those frequencies are rising now, but it's incredibly messy. So all I knew was that, okay, it's time. And I decided to invest all of my expertise, astrological and otherwise, to help people bring the dream of New Earth into form. And that was it. I offered up my expertise on social media, and people that resonated with me found me, and things started to roll along. And I noticed the commonality between us all. We all had a drive to roll up our sleeves in one way or another and be the force of change for positive, change. And that was the commonality. And it didn't matter whether these were people from the performance industry or whether they were healers from Western medicine or naturopathic healers or light workers, energy workers, families, entrepreneurs and business owners. They all said, I want a better world for myself and for my loved ones.
Yeah, no, I love that. And a better world defined by peace and love and humanity,
Correct.
which is interesting. I've been talking to people, obviously, since the new president's gone in place and feeling the upheaval in a lot of things. But what that is doing is almost giving that clarity. And it was the same when we went into the pandemic, right? Like feeling such intensity and extremeness in the mass world was bringing, like you're saying, a lot of people back to how am I going to choose to show up? How am I going to choose to trust, believe, be guided beyond what is happening in the outside world? And it's interesting how that it feels on two totally different ends of the spectrum, but it's just bringing clarity and the question to how do I want to live life? How am I showing up? How am I contributing to this energy or being the change I wish to see in the world? Oh, so powerful. Chills. Yeah. So go ahead.
Well, I was just going to add to that, because what is so powerful about it is because, in a sense, what we're asking ourselves is, how am I going to have my own agency
Yeah.
in this world? In this world as it currently is, where I am told there are limitations. I'm not allowed to go here. And if I want to go there, it's contingent upon me doing this, that, or the other. We all remember the lockdowns, and I know it'll take many years of people to really get over that.
Right.
The isolation. Now, for a lot of people, it was like, this is what I needed. But the point is that whether you're an introvert or not, we all need our own medicine of human connection. And when that is denied, we have to find out, well, how am I responding to this? I've lost some of my agency in the world. How am I going to live in this world that is putting up roadblocks everywhere and still be myself? How am I going to not be on automatic?
Yeah.
How am I going to
Yes.
respond truthfully with everything that I have to what is happening? And what am I going to do? Am I going to
Yeah.
lie down and roll up in a little ball? And we
Right.
do that sometimes. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Or am I going to pick myself up and say, hey, well, what do you need? What do you need? I'm here.
Right. Yeah. So, will you elaborate a little bit on you knew you'd always aligned with the stars and so was it trainings that you were taking to incorporate I don't even Michelle, I don't even know how you study the stars. Like what does studying astrology mean and how then did you incorporate that into your daily life to then even be able to support other people?
That's a great question. There is a study of astrology. A lot of astrologers actually begin their studies independently. And that's how I started out. It was curiosity. And I am very happy to learn independently. And so I dug in using all kinds of astrology texts that I had been collecting over my life, but hadn't cracked them open yet. And suddenly, well, in 2006 really is when I started cracking open these books. And when I saw the correlations between what I was learning about the symbols in astrology and what my lived experience, light bulbs were going off. I mean, nonstop. And I got very excited about a new level of self-awareness, mainly around why do I keep doing that? That's really dumb. It's not good for me. And I finally understood, well, there's a pattern here. And it's just calling out for some love and some healing and awareness. And also big um that big sinkhole in the middle of the road, you don't have to keep falling into it.
There's another path.
So that was exciting. And then, as most astrologers do, you get so excited. You want to share that joy with other people. Like, I figured myself out. Anybody else?
Yeah. How powerful.
And then, you decide if you want to go on to formal training. I finally reached a point where I thought, well, I think I know a lot here. I think I have a lot of knowledge about astrology, but I don't know what I don't know.
Right.
And I began taking classes in a more formal sense, although actually I asked for tutoring, individual tutoring. And that worked really well for me. Again, if you know your style of learning, employ that. And then I took exams and did the exams to certify that I am certifiable. And that's good. I mean, we all know that exams are scary when we're called to prove our knowledge and our expertise. And so it's frightening. But at the same time, you also want to know for yourself. Can I walk? Can I walk? Can I run? And that was it. So it was important for me to find that out for myself and gratifying. And there are marvelous teachers. Generally, I would say to your audience, if anybody's curious and they want to learn astrology and they don't know an astrologer that they can learn from, there are local organizations. Just look up a local astrology group and you will find your teachers.
I love that. And see where you're drawn. I feel like that, I've had minor run-ins with different astrologers that just I haven't been drawn to work with, or, and it's of course like you're in Toronto, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, but now in the time and space that we live in, like online is an option. So for the most part, I mean, even this podcast, I've been doing things locally, but it's also been very organic to where am I drawn and who am I connected to. So I would just leave that with listeners too, is follow that gut feeling, because there's, yeah. And it's interesting your journey of doing more. I admire your ability to dive in and do the learnings yourself first, because I bet that was such a beautiful way to integrate it. And like you said, oh, I'm researching this because I'm curious, because I'm seeing this in my own life. I've kind of done it backwards, in that some story in my brain was always, I need to go to someone else to get the information. Like, I think underlying, I think it was, I don't know if it's just a distrust for myself, but going to a class, doing the next course, doing the homework, following the rules and the guidelines. And now, just in these later years, I'm getting to, okay, but what is my heart calling for? Where do I see? And not just doing the homework to do the homework, but to like hear and see and dig into myself, right? Like that's, I think both, there's the yin and yang in it, right? Like masculine, feminine approach, but I think they come together as then you can feel integrated and in this world have the certifications to whatever.
Exactly. And I have to say, I don't know that you did it backwards. You did it the way that you were called to do it.
Yeah.
And I really, really appreciate what you said about, but what happens if I don't go out there externally for the information? Does my what does my system have to reveal? And I think, Gemma, I think we're all like that. And a lot of it is socialization or education. We're sort of taught to believe that, oh, you need expertise. Yeah, go to so and so. And sometimes we
Yes.
do need so and so's expertise.
Right.
I would never deny that. We have to be able to look. We need confirmation
Right.
from other people, right?
Yeah.
From other experts.
Yeah.
But I would always say, primarily, you know
Yeah.
you, and you know your body signals, and you know when you're getting a.
Yeah. Exactly.
We all get it. We all hear that. And I think we're going to get to a time where when people say, I need more information, they'll just say, I'm not calling up my local astrologer. Excuse me. I need 15 minutes of quiet. And I'm going to go within and find out what it is that's trying to be revealed to me.
Yes, 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 exactly. Like learning how to heal and know ourselves, like legitimately know what those cues are, and being able to take the external experts even and filter them through our own lenses,
Bingo.
right? Like not just taking their word at face value when they
That's
don't, like
it.
you said, they're not inside of us. Like it's a cool process.
Yes. Trusting yourself.
Yeah.
Trusting yourself usually means actually peeling away the layers. As you said, we go do the workshops, we learn, we do the homework, we do this, we do that. But after a while, you have to find out, but what's underneath all of that?
Yes. All right.
What legitimately is my system able to tell me about my life or what I need to know? And that I will always say, you know way more than I do about what you need.
Love that.
I
Yeah.
will confirm, and on occasion, I will say, eh, I'm getting a red flag.
Gotcha.
Let's just look at the red flag for a second. What's that about? I don't like to prescribe for people, please do this, now do that. Just because I happen to know there's a really good timeline coming, I'll say, hey, here's a nice timeline coming. What do you
Yeah.
want to do with that?
Yeah.
But you're the boss of your life. I'm just here to help ask a few questions to get you thinking, what can I do with that yummy energy? I've got it
Right.
for 6 months,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's it. I'm
Yeah.
just showing people, here's the opportunity. But you're the
That's,
boss. You're the boss.
that's interesting because we started when we first got on. I was because we did some coaching together. It was early, we think last year, maybe. And you had given me insight to a couple of opportunity time periods. I think the one I'm thinking of even specifically was the time to really just clean up and get pure in everything from what I was consuming physically, from culture. And even at that time, I think Matilda, 1.5. And part of me took it as a little like overwhelming, and I can't quit caffeine now or whatever. So when these opportunities present themselves astrologically, but is people that are living definitely in like first column, like on this planet, physical context, are a lot of us passing by the opportunities from being so focused on like day to day and not more connected divinely?
It's a great question. And I want to put your mind at ease. My sense is that you only miss your opportunities when you're ignoring what the very real signals that you're getting from your own system. I keep
Yeah.
calling it a system, and by that I mean your entire being, the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritualness of you.
Yeah.
You get signals The same signals that say, I need a glass of water, I'm thirsty.
Mhm.
My stomach is growling, I gotta eat.
Right, right.
I gotta pee. Those are really basic, I know what I need to do right now signals.
Right.
We get the same signals, believe it or not, for the non-physical needs. Like, I
Beautiful.
just met somebody and mm, mm, mm,
Spidey senses going off.
and it's like, okay, that's fine. I'll just stand in neutral detachment and see what's happening, or check into, why is my system going, oh? That is just a little red flag. That's, if I it can ignore the red flag too.
Yeah.
I can ignore that red flag and then engage with that person, perhaps spill my whole, let's just imagine, let's spill my whole life story
Right.
without using any kind of, with having ignored the red flag.
Good point.
I can
Good
do
point.
that. And then
Yeah.
I don't know what happens with that information that I gave that person, because I
Yeah.
just ignored a signal. So
Yeah.
I'm saying, Gemma, that I don't think we really miss our opportunities, because you are a bridge between heaven and earth. You're a conduit. So you're always receiving the guidance that you need from the earth.
Yeah.
You get the earth energy through your feet. You get the celestial energy through your crown. You're
Mhm.
getting what you need. It's up to you to listen.
Yeah.
We don't always hear the signals, though, and that's not always your fault. We're
Yeah.
bombarded with signals, electromagnetic frequency, and those are really jamming your own natural biospiritual signals. Those get into your energy field, and then you don't always get to hear what you need to hear.
Okay.
And then yes, it is useful to have an astrologer say, did you notice this, did you notice that? I feel very strongly that when a life experience is for you, you're going to have that.
Yeah.
If it's for you, you will be called to it. I think that we can miss some of the deeper spiritual opportunities that are available to us. Those are the times that we don't enjoy. Those are the times when we have to do the step that I don't, this needs to get done.
Yeah.
This is the part of my life that I dislike having to manage, but it has
Mhm.
to be done.
Right.
And in astrology, I would relate those to 90-degree angles between planets. It's the I gotta do it, but I don't want to do it thing. And sometimes in our grumblings, like, we miss out on a type of what we're doing in those moments when we show up, even though it's like, oh, it's this thing that I dislike. We're building our strength, we're building our fortitude, we're developing resilience.
Yeah.
That's a spiritual thing.
Mm.
Not the resilience to suck it up and be an automaton. I don't mean in that sense.
Yeah. Right.
I mean our resilience to, you don't get to just live a life without challenge. That isn't what life on earth is, even not life on new earth.
Right.
We
Right.
will be challenged, but how will we meet the challenges? That's that's the spiritual opportunity that sometimes gets overlooked when we are too busy grumbling about what's on our plate at the moment.
I love that so much. I think we'd even touched on before just a little bit about like the light and the darkness. Like it's the yin and the yang, it's light and the darkness. It's but not letting yourself wallow in the darkness, like knowing that you're learning lessons. It's a time for, like you're saying, clarity and learning. It's so when the light comes back, you come out of it as a stronger human with more clarity or whatever came out of that dark period for you. I love that.
That's it. And
Uh,
and above all, you show up for yourself. And
yes.
you show up for yourself to the best that you can on any given day. And we all know some days we show up for ourselves better than others.
Well said.
But all you can do is just keep going. Keep
Yeah.
going.
So tying it back to astrology, like does it start when you started to understand yourself, do you first look at like when you were born, where you were born? Does it base on that? And then I'll let you go from there.
Yes. If for people that haven't had an astrology session, um, at least if they're working with me, it starts with, let's talk about your natal chart, your birth chart. Why is that so important? Because the time and place where you're born, the land that you're born on, and the time of humanity, the era that you're born into, or the zeitgeist that you're born into. I mean, you are shaped by the land.
Mm,
Whether you live there anymore or not, you are shaped by your birthplace. You have instructions embedded in the land that are uploaded into you at your birth, at that place. Those are your celestial instructions. It's the same as you were born with your own unique set of fingerprints.
mhm. Oh, yeah.
The celestial imprint is your birth chart.
Mm,
And if you could see it, you would see it in your aura, right?
right. S- Amazing. So then as you're going, obviously it's like where the planets are at any given moment is affecting each of us. Is it affecting us similarly, or does it depend on kind of our own personal makeup, I should say,
Yeah,
anyway?
you have your own responses to all of the celestial signals.
Okay.
And how you respond to them may be very different from how I respond to them. The only thing that we can both agree on is we're both getting the same signals.
Okay. Gotcha.
So you and I arrive at a red traffic light at the same time, each in our separate cars. You know, are we, how do we both feel at that red traffic signal? Maybe quite
Right.
differently.
Yeah,
Or
right.
maybe one of us doesn't, maybe one of us misses the signal and drives through. And maybe one of us judges the other for doing that. Like, you have your own way of handling the celestial signals. And the only thing we both agree on is, yeah, we both agree there was a red light.
Interesting. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, based
We both
on
agree that Venus is in Aries right
right.
now. How is that impacting you? Maybe differently from how that's impacting me.
Fascinating. So then when you're looking and you're saying, okay, specifically for you, client, I'm seeing a time upcoming opportunity, energy or compassion or whatever it is that is unique though to the person's celestial fingerprint,
Yes,
right? Okay.
correct.
Okay.
That's unique to their individual instructions, which will go off at a different time than somebody else's. I mean, it's amazing that we are all each wired to awaken to certain things, each in our own time.
Yeah. Is it based on, this is the piece that I don't understand, the energy of where the planets are in the sky based on our makeup, that energy is affecting our energy differently? Is that how you would describe it? Probably
Are
not.
you asking? I just want to clarify. Are you asking how astrology works in a
Kind
sense?
of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So most astrologers don't know how astrology works. In the same way that Isaac Newton, knew there was a thing called gravity, but
Mhm.
he really couldn't explain what it is or how it works. Okay.
Yeah.
Astrology, I believe, will be revealed the more that we get into deeper into quantum physics,
Mhm,
the
mhm. Yes.
more will be revealed the resonance with the planets and the stars, because it's my understanding that everything that happens at the atomic level and the subatomic level is just a minute scale of what is happening at the cosmic, the
Yeah,
planetary level.
for
And
sure.
we have physicists confirming that now in their own language. They're not thinking of astrology, but I'm
Right.
clocking it and going, you're just telling me what we should all know. We're learning that atoms are black holes. They're little baby black holes. We're
Interesting.
learning that stars are black holes. We're learning that everything is a vortex. Everything is a torus, a spinning field, a perpetually spinning field. You are a perpetually spinning field in human form.
Fascinating.
I could also say that, Gemma, you are also atomic star that I'm seeing in human form. I'm seeing you in your human form. You also have a star form, which if I looked at it right now, perhaps would blind me or nuke me. So
Right.
you're in your human form, but you are forged out of the cosmic furnace. And therefore, you must have within you all of the elements of the entire cosmos and the planets of our solar system, and certainly the star, our sun. We are resonant with our planet, our home planet Earth, and with our stars. And what I believe we are going to find in the next chapter of discovering how does astrology work anyway, what I believe we will find is that actually we're not impulsed by the planets. It doesn't work like that. The planets don't just beam you a signal. My understanding is that actually our planet, Earth, sends us signals.
Okay.
And those signals happen to occur in tandem as certain planetary angles and motions.
Okay.
But it's really your home planet that's giving you the signal. And then you look at a chart and go, oh, look, Saturn is in Pisces and it's connecting with my natal Mars, to give an example. And so we say, oh, it's Saturn connecting with my Mars energy. Okay, yes.
Right.
And also, it's probably that the Earth is sending a signal. Like,
Amazing.
Michelle, if it were me, Michelle, it's time for you to devise a new physical fitness program for yourself. Now, is that coming from Saturn connecting with my Mars? It looks that way on paper. But
Okay.
my understanding is actually it's planet Earth that astrologers tend to forget about.
The one that we're, this one right here.
It's our home planet. And so we must always think of our home planet as being on an axis with our sun, our home star.
Okay.
Those two have an intimate relationship. They're always on an axis with each other. So the sun is the giver of life of our solar system, and the earth is signaling us through, well, we're receiving the nutrition through our feet largely. But my understanding is it's the earth signaling us, saying, hey, there's something you need to do, or there's an opportune period, or something feels great. That comes from the earth signaling you. And it looks like a planetary alignment that's occurring in tandem.
Fascinating. Oh my goodness. It's amazing. It's just blows my mind as you get into quantum physics and like how awesome. That was very helpful. Thank you. So when you're working with clients, well, will you talk about it a little bit? Like who do you generally work with and what does that process look like and you guiding, supporting them?
That's a beautiful question again. Primarily, it looks like me having deep conversations with my clients and listening deeply. Initially, I want to know, why are we here? What's happening in your life? What do you want? What do you want to see happening? What do you want to see not happening anymore? Is there a larger vision? Are you in a period of transition right now? And what are you hoping will occur as a result of us meeting? So we have that conversation. And then I go away and I do some homework and I do some deep research into their chart, their natal chart, as well as a few other astrological techniques, progressed chart, and their solar return, the birthday chart, whatever is occurring, I run a chart to see what's going on. I do some homework and I start to address their issues. And then we have 2 more meetings to drill down on here are some of the instructions that you incarnated with. Here are your beautiful potentials. Here are some of the pitfalls. Have you noticed this keeps happening? Yes. Yeah. And so here are some of the ways to mitigate that from happening anymore. And then when we've had a chance to drill into who are you and why are you and so on, then we can have a talk about what's coming up. Okay. What are the opportunities that are presenting themselves now in the next year or further, yeah, depending on how far we can see. We talk about where I see potential for this is a rocky period. That's always an uncomfortable thing. I never want to have to say this is a difficult time. Yeah. Hopefully the client already knows that. Yeah. And we can look at how do you want to navigate that? So it's really, again, if I'm in conversation with somebody, I never want them to feel they need me to navigate. I want them to feel like, okay, even if I have a bit of a rocky journey ahead for the next few months, I have some signposts that are going to help me. Mm-hmm. And I have my autonomy. And I can do this. Mm-hmm. And I also have my supports where I need them. Right?
So are most people coming to you with some inkling of I know I want to be going this way, or I'm in this period of struggle and I'm looking for cosmic astrological confirmation or direction, clarity, that kind of thing, it sounds like?
Get a lot of everything is changing. Yeah. My marriage seems to be ending. I need a new career. There's an issue with my children. I want to sell my home. I want to sell my business. Those are, I get a lot of that. Yeah. Okay. What I'm trying to impart is there's never once been an individual to come to me to say, my life is so good. It's so good. I need you to tell me why. Yeah. Why am I so lucky that everything is so amazing for me? Nobody does that, right? People come to me when they feel like, what is happening? The wheels are coming off the bus. Yeah. Or I just made a discovery. Yeah. That kind of thing. So we go into deep conversation about it, and then I put it back to you. Then how do you want to deal with this moving forward? And do you feel it would be worthwhile to meet again? I mean, I do initially, we schedule 3 meetings because that's really what's required. Yeah. And you don't want to be the way that I gave you overwhelmed. I don't want to overwhelm clients with information in one reading. They cannot possibly use all of that and take it. But if we space things out, they have an opportunity to integrate, to come back with questions, follow-up questions. And it just gives them a chance to breathe in the information more easily.
Well, I think when I started life coach training, I keep taking it beyond that, because life coach training was very much surface level. And all I mean by that is a human being living on this planet. And I love that. I think I was so drawn to you is because you're layering in energetics, like astrology, cosmic information about not only who I am, but where the world is and direction, where the planets are going to be next week. I feel like you're doing coaching on a cosmic level with just so much, really being able to understand who your clients are and how they were wired, and then bringing that cosmic information in, which most of us, I would say, probably just can't do for ourselves yet.
I really, really appreciate that. And the fact is that everybody can do everybody can learn enough astrology to make it useful for themselves. And I'm an advocate of that. The same way that I think it's useful to have, oh my gosh, it's gone right on my head. I wanted to say first responder training. You know what I'm saying? Some life skills around life-saving measures, how to, you know, do CPR and things like that. I think that occasionally there are certain skills it's useful to have. You don't need to be an expert, right? You need to know enough to have context. And then if you need really deep dive, then you go to your expert.
Right.
I appreciate what you're saying, because astrology for me is, how can I talk to you about your life without also giving the bigger context? Like, remember that there's a big, huge world that is in upheaval right now. And we want to ensure that your goals, that you have the agency to see the things that you want happen in your life and in the world. And we can't really, especially now that we are hooked up, right? Yeah. We're all hooked up on the net. We can no longer really just think of ourselves in isolation and what's good for me and what's good for my family and my community. We are a global family now. And what is happening in other countries is relevant to what is happening in our lives. These are important things. And yes, what is happening externally does have spiritual underpinnings. We can't not look at the spiritual underpinnings, or we really will be one-dimensional little cartoon characters.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Oh, well said. I'm curious. So you're obviously so good at working with clients, but this is coming from your own practices. So what do your daily practices, tools, just in, like you mentioned before, those 15 minutes of I just need to go in, look like to help you stay aligned and centered and all the things?
That's a really great question. And it took me a very long time to put my self-care, put it on the program, so to speak, right?
Yes.
And so I have three criteria, which is what do I need? Mm-hmm. What do my relationships and what do my friendships and colleagues and peer relationships and my spousal, all those relationships, what do they need? Mm-hmm. And so that's me, others, and then my third criteria is the world. Where are we at today with the world, and what is my place in all three? And I find that for me to be able to check in on my loved ones, it's put the oxygen mask on yourself first. Mm-hmm. You want to be of use to the world? Put your oxygen mask on first. So I have stopped deleting myself from the equation. Right. And now I love my morning routine. Mm-hmm. What I do upon waking up, as soon as my eyes are open and I know that it's not the middle of the night, it's morning. Right. Is I start the day with 30 minutes of silence, which might sound really odd because I've just come out of, for a few hours perhaps of silence, but I'm talking about aware silence, that allow myself to reconnect, come back into the body, because who knows where I've been. So to land back in my body and to hear what does my system have to say today. So I do 30 minutes of silence. And by the way, usually in the warm weather, I'll do that outside.
Love that.
But in the cold weather, I'll just pull up the blinds. But the point is for me to connect with the sky. I want to synchronize, as I call it, with the sky. So as I begin to awaken for the day, I want to watch the light change. I want to see the sky change. I don't have an immediate view of east, so I don't get to see the complete sunrise, but I get to see the after show. Mm-hmm. The point is, as the light in the sky increases, my inner awareness is increasing too. And I want to be synced up with the sky. That's a really big piece of starting my day. And it feels really good. Once I've done that, then I need to tend to the physical needs, the stretching, the fitness. Okay, once I've done that, that's the Michelle. She's lined up and happy. Great. Does my husband need anything from me today? How about my friends? Check in on them if we haven't connected for a bit. Okay, everybody's groovy or not groovy, but then I know what needs to happen. All right, third in the world. Okay, well, what can I really do for the world? It sounds really simplistic. Again, be quiet, hush, be still, close my eyes, and really hold my vision, not just in my mind, because it can't be a purely mental exercise. I hold the vision physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually of a new earth and all of us living with the freedom to be who we are, with the freedom to go where we wish to go, and to live where we wish to live, with whom we wish to live.
Yeah.
And to do the things that make life meaningful. And that version of Earth does not include wars.
Nope.
It just, all of those frequencies are gone, right? So that's what I do. That is what I can do.
Right.
For the world. And I know there are probably a lot of people who say, well, that's nothing. That's not a practical thing. No, it's happening on the spiritual level. At the practical level, what can I do for the world? I can go into my community and purchase from my community stores.
Yes. Locally.
I can be kind to people. That does have a ripple effect. So the things that we think are too small and they're not going to make a difference, actually, they make a profound difference. They have a ripple effect. We understand subtle energy. If somebody says, what will that do? They don't understand subtle energy.
Yes. And imagine if we all lived that way. If everyone lived going out into the world with love and kindness and right? That's the world we're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing.
My pleasure.
Is there anything else that you're feeling called to share today?
Yes. We're living in extraordinary times. Our planet is undergoing tremendous changes. Our cultures are changing. Nations are rising and falling. And right now, who knows which is which? It's a mess out there. We are living through a wild snowstorm, the kind where you don't want to be driving on the roads when the weather is that wild. But if you can be off the roads, I mean, it's a metaphor, if you can be off the roads in a snowstorm, a wild snowstorm, and you're in a safe place, you have a very different experience of that storm. You can appreciate the softness and the silence of the snow and how it blankets the environment in beautiful silence. You can, I think what I want to say is the world looks terribly, terribly messy. And many people wonder what's going to happen. And many people are thinking, well, then what's the point? What's the point? And why should I care about evolving in general? Because it's going to get better. That's why. Because it is. Because this is one phase, one awful, messy phase. It's one awful snowstorm. It's not going to snow forever. I would just say to everybody who is feeling the angst and the anxiety, and you mentioned yourself, there's a new administration in the USA, and in Canada, there is likely to be a new administration in the coming months. Whatever one may think about the government that one currently lives with, To be honest, it's not up to our governments. It's up to us. The world we are trying to bring into form is on us now. We must stop waiting for any leaders to model it for us. We are the modelers of New Earth. Those leaders will fall in line with us. And if they don't, that's okay, they'll fall.
Yeah.
And Gemma, they'll fall so soon. They will fall this year. We don't have to wait long. So I just want everybody to know, yes, it looks insane right there. But most of us, the people of the planet Earth, we are all connected and we all want the same things.
Right.
There's just a handful of crazies out there. There's more of us than them. We're the ones running the planet. We just need to make a little noise now. That's all.
Yes. Oh, I love that. And the small daily acts of putting those into the world, creating our new world.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. I love that. So good. So switching gears, but how do people find you? What's the best way if they're interested in working with you?
Yeah, the best way is to go to my website, which is mysticmaps.ca.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. And everything's linked from there. And I'll put that in the show notes so everyone can easily find you.
Oh, I'd love that. Thank you.
Yes. So I always like to end with, by my definition of vibrant, so glowing from the inside out to connect with our true selves, our communities, and our planet. Is there a couple of people, organizations that have really inspired you on your journey?
Yes. In 2021, a friend talked to me about the Oracle Girl community. That's oraclegirl.org.
Okay.
And in all honesty, I was having some difficulties with a great deal, many of the issues that were arising out of the pandemic. And I would not be here in this kind of strength and condition if I hadn't joined that community. I'm inspired by the materials that are there at Oracle Girl, and the organization is really headed by, the face of the organization is Jacqueline Fay, and she speaks for her own work. But I will say that her connection is largely to the natural world. And that helped me have my eyes opened again to, I'm a being on the planet, and that nature, that I am part of nature, that I am part of the natural world. So now my other inspiration is nature, is whenever I can get into the woods or walk by a river or down to a lake, just a living body of water, that feeds me and it refills the well. And I would recommend it for us daily to be wherever you can grab that bit of nature, even if it's your backyard or if it's a plant or just a tree. Go touch something real.
Yes, living and breathing. Yes, I love that so much. Yes, amazing. Oh, love it. I'm excited to go check out that Oracle Girl.
Oh, let me know what you think.
Okay, I will for sure.
Yes.
Love it. Good. Well, Michelle, of course, it was a pleasure. You were amazing. And even since it's been at least a year, just the things that you shared, the insights to who I am, but was just honestly life-changing. It really was. And how I process and perceive and experience, and it's work in progress, of course, but experience myself is much bigger than just this physical body. So
that's it.
So good.
That's it. Always remembering that we are bigger than who we present, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You are a celestial being.
Yeah, I love that. So good. So good. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, I was so happy to be here. Thank you again for inviting.
If you like this podcast, I want to invite you to coach with me. Let's ditch the autopilot living to slow down, tune in, reset, and redesign your life to glow from the inside out based on the beautiful being who you are, what matters to you, and how you want to dance through this life. I help you understand your self-sabotaging ways, programmed thinking and tendencies to outsource your power and reshape them to align with the true you for this chapter of your life. To join me in a complimentary coaching session, go to my website, www.gemmaputty.com. Sending all the love, light, and vibrancy. Until next time.